getting into the verses for today. Today is this 5 verses. Oh my God, it's such power packed section. Just these are five verses, but all the controversies and complications that you can think of is just sitting in these 5 verses. It's like an unending number of topics can be mined out of this, but I've just chosen some. Uh, we did discuss this last week, like do all paths lead to the same goal? So then we discussed how if it was true, then there was no need for Krishna to speak the Bhagavad Gita, because even fighting or not fighting would have taken Arjuna to the same goal. So he would not bother himself to speak, put so much effort speaking to Arjuna. And Arjuna also will not have any need to be confused whether to participate in the war or not, because everything is going to lead to the same goal. So there is this one extreme of exclusivism, my path and nothing else. And the other one is, oh, everything is okay. All paths lead to the same goal. But what Krishna explains here is, all paths, all people are walking in my path, he says. He does not say all paths lead to me. He says, all people are walking on my path. That means there may be different levels of realization they may get, but everything is on his path. Everything is under his what do you call divinity. So Krishna is inclusive. He says yes, different paths can lead to the absolute truth, but different level of realizations. So they may not all lead to the same goal if it's not properly guided. It's not that I do whatever I want and still I'll be going to the same experience. It's kind of counterintuitive, but quite famous today, that yeah, all paths lead to the same goal. But what is that path? Who decides which path is bona fide? And the other question that we wanted to discuss today is like, why are there so many religions? So these questions are like good enough for a complete session. So I'm just going to go to the gist of it. Parnika, are you raising your hands again, or is it from the past?
I think it's from the past. I'm sorry.
Okay, not an issue. So I'm just going to go to the core of the thing. I'm not going to give too much introduction. So why there are so many religions? One understanding is each religion was given at different time, at a different place, under different circumstances, with peoples of different levels of consciousness, with peoples of having different levels of spiritual ability or inclinations. So the revelation was also accordingly done by God. And we may find so much differences between these religions which are from different parts of the world. However, we all can also see that the essence, the the essence of all this religion is one, which is love of God. So I really like this quote by Rumi. He says, "The lamps are different, but the light is the same." So we may all carrying some love in a different way in our own hearts, but it's all connected to God originally. So that unalloyed love of God is the essence of any bona fide path or religion. Only then they are called bona fide. Otherwise, they may call themselves as a path or a religion. But if unalloyed love of God is not the focus, then you can call them like a bona fide religion, because the purpose of religion is to re-establish a connection with God. So all these different kinds of bona fide religions and paths, they can help us progress. They do have the ability to elevate a person. They may have different levels of realization, but that's okay. But the idea is they all aspire for a connection with God. Each one may have their own understanding. As long as this is the goal, then there is nothing wrong in having different religions. But but because people are people, that we end up fighting, and the world actually becomes much more complicated with religion. That's why many people feel today they want to be spiritual but not religious. But there is not so much of a difference between being spiritual and being religious. It's just a different kind of a word. So now spirituality means I believe and that's all. I'm like a more on a atheist on a practical level, and some kind of a believer in my head. That's all. It's very vague. So they feel any kind of rituals or practices are like religious. If I chant a mantra, I become religious. If I just call myself, oh, I love everyone, then I'm spiritual. But how do you make that feeling into a lived reality? So the chanting of the mantra makes that idea, that universal brotherhood, a fancy idea in the head, into a lived reality. So religion is that practice part of the spirituality. But today it all became like very messy, so it becomes difficult for people to identify themselves with any religion. Any questions on this? I know this is like a very loaded topic. Or thoughts or any extra perspectives that you could add that I didn't cover. Okay. As it comes up, please feel free to raise your hands. Is it understandable? Okay. So can followers of other religion achieve spiritual perfection? Is it my path, the only path to take take one to God? Many times we can also think, oh, will other paths help one realize Krishna? So there are three things. One is elevation, one is liberation, the other one is love of God. All these, when you say perfection, 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 this path will lead to perfection, that path will lead to perfection. Even in the Bhagavad Gita, we'll sometimes see Krishna saying, oh, if you do this, this will lead to perfection. But it's a very deceiving word, because perfection could be very multiple levels of perfection. So that's not completely clearly revealed at some places. But there can be elevation in consciousness, and there is liberation from material bondage, and there is love of God. These are all completely different results. They all can be called as perfection. My consciousness is gradually being elevated, and Rupa Goswami actually shows 9 steps. So that's a similar kind of elevation, but slightly, I would say, is different. Can happen in other paths also, and other yoga also. So all these three things are different. So let's take Jeffrey's Prabhu's opinion. Yes, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. I'm just reading through these bullet points here and thinking of the Damodar Leela and the the 2 fingers, and how one aspect of attainment of perfection or attainment of God is always mercy of Krishna.
Mercy of Krishna, true.
Horrible.
Yes, thank you. So yes, that part of the mercy is like kind of is like fixed, is for sure required. But how do we it's not that, of course, mercy itself means we are not qualified, but still we can do our endeavor. So that endeavor different people do through different religions. So where is that? So people think, oh, my endeavor will lead to mercy, but your endeavor may not lead to mercy. My mercy is a better mercy, your mercy is not that kind of a better mercy. So that kind of a comparison comes. But what we are trying to say is, okay, mercy is mercy. Krishna knows what is best for each individual, and the individual has a certain need and certain thing. If my cup is 100 ml and somebody else's cup is like 200 ml, so each one of us is full when we are full. Maybe our quantities are different, but what you call 2 full cups. So similarly, each one's have a different nature, a different relationship with God, and God fills that capacity to their completeness, because His completeness is infinite. So the soul is ultimately infinitesimal. So God has the ability to fill each one of us to our full capacity. So this competition comes like, oh, okay, this, that. So when we understand, okay, different processes does elevate. And Krishna himself may say this is the best of the processes, but that does not mean that is the only path and all other paths are invalid, because there will always be people who would want the other paths. That's why Krishna is keeping those. He's not removing the rungs in the ladder. Okay, I climb the ladder and then I remove the lower rungs. It's now more required. No, let other people have those lower rungs. Let other people come gradually. Yeah, we want them to take to the elevator process. Well and good. Everybody can do that. But we do have to understand that there will be other people who would prefer to walk the stairs and not take the elevator in this world. And that's why Krishna is maintaining those paths and speaking about those paths in the Bhagavad Gita. So all these three things are different: elevation, elevating one's consciousness, achieving liberation, and achieving love of God. So through any bona fide path, elevation is possible. Um, I don't want to take names, then it becomes like confusing for people, but there are so many paths. Like even a simple breathing with just focusing your own attention and sitting in one corner can actually calm you down, can bring you to the level of mode of goodness if it is practiced properly under guidance. It's very much possible. However, how far it can take is the question. Can just that process relieve me from the material bondage? May not be, but it can be a good place to start. So that's why it's important to take a bona fide path, because not just it will elevate you, it will also take you through to the end. And as far as attaining love of God or attaining Krishna specifically, depends on our own purification and attraction. Because we see even saints from other paths, other religions, whom we may have difference of opinions in philosophy and practice and lifestyle, but we do see saints in that in different religions also develop this feeling of love of God. It's very clear. So all these things are universal qualities. The level of which those revelations happen may be different in different paths, but God is universal. And in my personal opinion, God is more magnanimous than most practitioners of all these paths. The practitioners tend to be very, oh, it's my path the best. Could be, but it's not the whether the path is best or not, or the most of the times it is the my path is best. The emphasis is on the my more than on the path or the best. So the idea when Krishna says this path is best is the soul can experience more rasa in the relationship. That's all is from his perspective. Both the soul and him can receive more, um, can relish more love. So the opportunities to experience interactions is more, that's of a very higher nature. That's all is the differentiation in these paths. So we can uncover the full ability of the soul to experience its interaction with the Supreme Lord. That's what we call as best. But if somebody wants something different, okay, that's nothing wrong. So attaining God or Krishna through other paths, how much it is possible, how differently it is possible. It is possible if the purification and an attraction is there, but the rasa could be different, but and the what do you call the relationship could be slightly different. So that's why even within Vaishnavas, there are different paths. There are different devotees, have different moods. Within the bona fide paths also, there are so many paths. So we can be, what do you call it, attached to our own path and glorify it, but we should never put others down without understanding the overall picture. Does that make sense? Any questions? Any thoughts? Yes, Madhavendra.
Yeah, I was thinking, because I know people in different areas of religion, and one thing that I've noticed is if they have a great camaraderie within their group, they tend to stick with it and they're happy there. And so I was thinking, wow, even if to me that train of thought doesn't make as much sense, the idea that they might actually look outside of it is very slim, because it's kind of like devotee relations, right? Are hanging with other devotees is like what gives us motivation to keep going, or love of the whole process. And I think that kind of keeps them on that particular path as well.
True. I remember reading an article how there's no need of too much philosophy. Rather, include a person as part of a tribe, and naturally they will take to the philosophy and practices to make one feel part of a community is much more important initially than giving philosophical clarity, because we are all human beings after all. So we like connections. We like a community, a tribe. So thank you. That's a very valid point, because not many people are like really going around and checking different philosophies and seeing which is the highest philosophy. There are different perfections, which is the highest level of perfection. No, we don't even know all these things initially. So it makes sense what you're saying, like people get connected to a particular group or a tribe or a community, and that's what is their world. And how well they feel in within that, how well they feel connected in that, and how nourished and how good relationships they experience, it makes their faith stronger and stronger. Does that reflect what you were saying, Madhavendra? Thank you. And the other question is one God or many gods. This is also a thing that Krishna addresses in this chapter, verse 12. He says, Kankshanta karmanam siddhim yajantaya devata. So he says, people want quick results, so sometimes they may worship the demigods. So he is bringing into the concept of demigods. He says, doing sacrifice to the demigods may have very minimal effect, but he eventually speaks about doing one's duty according to the dharma as a sacrifice for the Supreme Lord. He speaks about that. So that's where in this context we can take this question, one God or many gods. I'm pretty sure most of us here in the call have heard this topic so many times. And the Rig Veda says, means that Satyam is one, but Bahuda Vadanti means Rishaya, means the sages, they speak it in different names. They give different names to the same one truth. So this is a concept that many people can use, and then they say, okay, all gods are same. You just don't know this Rig Veda verse which says that truth is one and sages call it by various names. However, it's not as simple as that. You can just say, okay, every god or every truth is all one. It's not that. There is a context to it. The word supreme means there can be only one, because that's what this Rig Veda statement is also saying. Truth is one, supreme is one. So then how do we understand the concept of demigods? And Krishna, what does Gita speak about this particular statement from Rig Veda? In this section, Krishna very clearly differentiates that worshipping the demigods will not lead to the same result. He clearly says that. So the understanding of overall Gita is that, yes, there is one Supreme Lord, and he takes many forms. He takes many forms as Krishna, Rama, Buddha, or Balaram, or Parashuram, and all these kind of course, Krishna is the original form, but still, for the sake of simplifying it, the Supreme takes so many different forms, and they're all equal. However, is every other form that we see as part of the Vedic pantheon is all like Supreme Lords? That's not what Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita. He says there is an universal management, like how we have a president, prime minister, vice president, and all these things. So similarly, there is a whole universal management and portfolios, that different people manage different portfolios, different people have different roles. It's not that they're all one. They're all different individuals. Most of them are just living beings like us, but have higher power. Like a president is another citizen of the country, but is invested with more administrative powers. So similarly, the demigods are also living entities, but they have higher administrative powers within the universe. So in Bhagavad Gita does not teach polytheism. It does not say all gods are same. It speaks about two concepts. One is, it speaks about polymorphic monotheism. There is one godhead, monotheistic, but he takes different forms, polymorphic monotheism. And the other concept it speaks about is there are universal administrators under the Supreme Lord. They may have different powers, they may do different activities. That does not make them all one. So these are the two different concepts that Bhagavad Gita explores. That monotheistic polymorphism, and demigods. So the combined is the system that under one Supreme Lord, there are so many administrators who take care of different portfolios. That's how Bhagavad Gita speaks about the concept of demigods. Anything more to add or clarify? Because I assume that most of you are like adept with this topic and you have heard it in the past. Fine. Shall we move on? Okay. So another one, the 13th verse speaks about varnashrama. So naturally this question comes, why did God create the caste system? And even if you go to schools or colleges in the US, even if you take an elective which has Hindu religious study, this is a thing that everybody will face. They will say Hinduism propagates caste system, and caste system is oppressive, but Hinduism has been doing all these things like that. But they don't give the proper understanding of what is varnashram and how it deteriorated to caste system, and is that the original system, and those things they never explain. So it kind of makes most of the Indian kids like kind of feel bad for being born in their family, in a Hindu family. So that's why I thought it's a very important topic for the kids to understand. Even if the schools teach, they're not teaching the whole truth. So I'm not saying there is no caste system in India, but I'm not saying that is the original system established as part of the Vedic tradition. So Krishna says in the verse 13 of this chapter, Chaturvarnyam maya srishtam guna karma vibhagashah. So he says, I'm the creator of this four varnas, four social orders, and also the four spiritual orders, based on guna and karma, based on one's quality and birth, one's quality, nature, and work. So, and if you see, is it when he says it is created by him? Yes, everything is created by Krishna. However, according to the modes, if you just look at the world, you don't see anything beyond these four categories. Even you go to there is no country in the world who follows communism, to be very honest. I don't have anything personally against communism, but I do have to some extent. But there is no country in the world which truly follows communism. But if anyone goes to the communist philosophy, they will say everybody is equal. So one scholar said in communism, everyone is equal. Some are more equal than others because you do need to have a president, you do need to have a prime minister and all that. So they have more rights, they have more property, they have more wealth and all that. But still, that's why I'm saying, like, thank you, Jeffrey Prabhu, Hare Krishna. So these four kinds of people are all over the world, be it communist or capitalistic societies or Vedic society. Every society has all these different categories, and that's how the society works. We all in our own everyday deal with these different category of people. We go take services from someone serving in a coffee shop. At the same time, we go to a bank and take help from a teller. And we go and take help from someone who's doing a work in the post office. And we do go take some help from someone who's doing a media work, or we have business dealings. We go to a shop and buy something, and we do interact with managers of we may be a manager, or we may be under another manager, or we may be teachers. So all these roles are there in the world. You cannot say this is higher, lower. Without this, the society will not function. Even in a society which calls everybody as equal, cannot have equality in terms of the manager cannot be the same as the person who's acting as a bank teller. The bank manager and bank teller do have their differences. They have differences on the level of administrative powers. On the level of humanity, yes, they all need to be treated with dignity and respect. We all deserve physical safety and emotional well-being. We all deserve that, whatever level of administrative power we work. However, it does on the level of administration, they are not just same, because nothing will get done in this world. So in this world today, people are more emotional. They just have opinions out of emotion, and they're completely impractical. They say everybody is equal. Yes, everybody is equal, but clarify the context. If everybody is equal, in what context? Like when Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, a pandita, a learned person sees everybody as equal. A dog and a dog eater, an elephant and a brahmana and an administrator, everybody, he sees everyone as equal. But does that mean he will go and embrace a snake or a tiger? Yeah, he sees everyone is equal. But will he have the same kind of dealings? So the equality is in the vision that all are spirit souls. But in terms of dealings, you have to deal with the snake differently, and you have to deal with the cow differently, you have to deal with the dog differently, you have to deal with the men also differently. If somebody is a teacher, if somebody is a worker, they're all dealt with differently. But it should be with dignity. I'm not saying there is no need of dignity in interactions. Dignity in interactions is required. That's where things in the past have gone wrong. People assume just because I'm someone higher in the administrative power, I'm more pure, or I'm higher in the social order, I'm more pure, I deserve more respect. So that attitude of ego is the problem. Differentiation is there in the society, it can never be removed. But by proper education, by proper spiritual education, we can remove the egoistic tendencies of the people. So that is why there is four spiritual orders. That first, a person in their student life, in their celibate and unmarried life, they go through spiritual education, and they also simultaneously go through education to help them have a profession in this world, to make money in this world, and to support the society, and to fulfill their nature, and to engage their own nature. Job is not just to make money. Money is just one aspect of the job. It's a very long topic, because that's why most people feel dissatisfied today, because they, for the sake of money, they do some jobs which they don't like. So when they come back from office, all they're looking for is enjoyment. Now I've got this money, with so much hard work, I need to enjoy this money. Because if the work was fulfilling, the money would not, the work will not leave them agitated at the end of the day. The work will leave them, wow, I fulfilled my purpose in life, and they will be more happy that they contributed to the society and they made others happy, and they could engage their own original nature in service to others. They'll feel that satisfaction. But because we act against our nature, when we at 6 p.m. we are like, I'm done, and I have worked hard throughout the day to make such money, and I'm going to enjoy this money. That's how I will experience some pacification of my frustration. However, when a person, say for example, a dancer or an artist, it's when they engage in that activity, it's so they're fulfilling and nourishing that they don't need monetarily, yes, practical reasons, but that's not the only thing they're looking for. And they feel so happy and satisfied that they're not looking for, okay, let me do something to forget this frustration of working hard to put up this performance. So it's very important for all of us to understand what is our nature and try to engage. So that part happens in the student life, where the teacher guides us. Okay, what is your nature? Are you a teacher? Are you an administrator? Are you a business oriented person? Are you a skilled labor, unskilled labor? Where are you placed? So accordingly, then the rest of the life is directed. And most people would also enter into family life. Family life, it's not just me and my home. That's a place where person can actually make strong spiritual advancement. That's a place where most of us are going to live for the longest time. Out of these four spiritual orders, this is the place where most people will live for their longest in the life. So that means spirituality should be infused into that life, and that can lead to a retired life, which is also very purposeful and spiritual. Eventually, if the person needs to, then they can even go towards complete renounced life. So these are the four social and spiritual orders, which is a very natural system that was created. And you may think, oh, then why did he create different people differently? Okay, first of all, understand, if everybody is same in the society, will things get done? If everybody is a software engineer, it's amazing that somebody is a software engineer. But if everyone is just a software engineer, what will we do for eating? So all kinds of people are required, and it's not that it is just created because Krishna has just created this system. We are all stuck with it. It's based on our own nature and work. It's based on our own past karma. We all have different inclinations. We all are different individuals. So it's just the classification is given by Krishna, but it is we who have that nature, and we who have that skill and personality and affinity towards different things. So it's all based on what is our personality and skill. It's not just based on birth. That's where the system deteriorated into caste system. The original system was based on one's personality and skill. Even if people are born in the same family, they will be engaging in different ways according to their own individual personality and skill. But in the past, it was almost guaranteed that if a person is born in a particular family, they all had the same inclination. Because of the past, the varnashram was properly followed, and the men and women who got married had same inclination. So it was much more of a different time and situation. But today, surely it's not possible. Both brothers in the same family, they are completely different. You can see that all the time. It was not that much of a case in the past, but today you can see that you have two brothers. One is into arts, the other one is into military, and all these kind of things you can see in the same family. So each one needs to engage according to their own personality and skill. But yeah, you may think, oh, the modern society facilitates that, so we are already following that system of four divisions. We may say that because each one of us today, you want to be a doctor, you could. You want to be a military person, you could. You have the opportunity. At least nobody is going to tell you it's not possible. They may have entrance exams and physical tests and all these things to qualify you, but the opportunity is there. If you want to, you can try. We may say, oh, we are following the same system today, but the problem is the spiritual framework is lost. Only that opportunities for different social orders are there. Oh, you could become a teacher or blah blah, all those things are there, but it is not connected with dharma. It is not connected with a spiritual purpose. So Krishna is saying, do your dharma, do your activities, but in the light of dharma. But this whole system deteriorated to caste system. That is, okay, if you are born in a particular family, then you are already that, and that's what you will continue to do. So it becomes more hereditary, exploitative, and inflexible. And in the modern world, even people, they are born in such families, but they don't have interest in doing that thing. So that's why you see people don't continue their family profession, because they are different. So this is where the system has fell through, but that does not mean that was the original system, or the originally the culture is exploitative. That is a tall claim. Sometimes people with ulterior motives do that. So one needs to be careful. I'm not sure if you guys are seeing all my too many notifications that I'm trying to. So here, I like this quote I recently heard in a talk by ISKCON Swami. He was saying, like, you are born an original, don't die a copy. So that's the purpose of our ashram, that we all engage according to our own nature. We just don't copy somebody else. We act according to our own nature and according to our own tendencies and skills. That is the purpose of our ashram, that Krishna wanted all of us to be individual, be an original in our own way. However, it's not very easy in a modern society, so that needs to be balanced. So soon in the Bhakti Center, at the Bhakti Center, we are going to have a seminar by Urmila Devi. It's called Career Dharma. So adults of that age who could understand a thing, you guys can tune in. Probably it will be on the YouTube, or if you are living, you can close by, you can I'll share the details on the group, so you can come, drop by, listen to her. So yes, we have covered at least the verses 13. I was supposed to have the 15 and 16, 14 and 15 put up here. I'm sorry, I missed it. Let me go back. 14 is Krishna is saying, yeah, I created this varnashram. So somebody may say, oh, then you are responsible for all the troubles that is coming in the system. Krishna is saying, see, I created a framework. I'm not the problem. I created a framework so that already people are having proclivities. So I just thought, like, let me put it in a way that people can be, people's activities can be dedicated to me so that they can achieve liberation. But just because I gave a framework, you cannot blame me. I'm only facilitating the nature and the skills that people are already having. Otherwise, they will only engage without any structure, and it will not lead to liberation. They'll be stuck. So he's saying, I'm transcendental, guys. I'm not stuck with I'm not responsible for all the suffering that's going on here, because we create suffering by our own activities, by our interactions with others. You say, like, I don't want to give the example of a gun. It's not very appropriate in the political backdrop of US. But say, for example, if there is there is a knife at home, that does not mean the kid can take and hurt others or hurt oneself, because the knife is there for kitchen use. You cannot blame the parent, like, why did you? But of course, you're supposed to keep the knife properly. But after a certain age, everybody has access to everything. So we may give money to a kid, but that does not mean we are the ones who are responsible for spoiling the kid. If the Yeah, we need to be careful. At the same time, the kids also need to assume responsibility. So we cannot behave in any way that we want and then push the responsibility on, oh, the others are responsible for this. Yes, Chinmay. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare
You
Krishna.
made a very good point, Prabhuji. This reminds me of one of the verses in the fourth chapter where Krishna says, I think it is the fourth chapter where Krishna says that that like Krishna is indifferent to the pains and pleasures of the material world. And the person who knows this nature of him is also liberated.
Yeah.
So like Krishna enters within this material world as the super soul. And because he has no tendency to enjoy the fruits, although he is the doer of everything, he's the enjoyer of everything, but he has no material tendency to enjoy happiness or distress, material happiness or material distress.
Perfect.
And the person who realizes this transcendental nature of Krishna and also realizes his own very nature as a spirit soul, who is qualitatively similar to Krishna, that I am also similar to Krishna. I am also not the enjoyer of happiness and distress. He is also liberated.
True. It's exactly the section, I would say. Is very close to what you're saying, because it comes, some of it comes later also, but I really appreciated that you consolidated all of that, because that point is so beautiful. One who actually realizes Krishna realizes himself. So realizing Krishna is not different from realizing ourselves. We will eventually come to realize ourselves by realizing Krishna. So Krishna includes everything. Yeah, Mother Indira?
Also, also thinking about how Krishna is so kind that he is constantly trying to bring us back to him, right? And it's not just that he develops this framework and he's like, okay, go and enjoy and, kill yourselves or right, suffer tremendously. Like, it's kind of like, oh, well, here is a way that you can eventually figure out that you're not happy and that you might bring yourself back towards me and be happy with me, right?
Like, I sometimes feel like it's like the government. They create nice roads, they create all the facilities, but they create rules. Okay, this is the speed limit, and they put signs. This is the exit here. This is where you take a turn. This is what is coming up. So they do all these facilities. They're not just, okay, here is a road, I'm done, you guys are on your own, you explore what you want to do. And there are guidelines, like, okay, and why is there a speed limit? The speed limit is for our own safety. It's not for anything else, to make sure everybody is comfortable and we are all safe. So Krishna also created a system, and there are some rules. And you do this, you suffer. You do this, you get better results. But ultimately, there are posts, there are like signs saying, you go this way, you go to hell. You go this way, you go to heaven. You go this way, you go to Goloka. You go to Brahmaloka, or you go to all these different kinds. It leads to liberation. It leads to bondage. So all these signposts are there, and also there are like we have police standing there on the way in the road saying, oh, you're going fast. If you just go continue like this, you will be in trouble, so I'm going to give you a ticket, so you slow down actually. So then we get reactions to stop us from our own stupidity, actually leading us towards hell. So sometimes we get reactions immediately to stop us from further damaging ourselves. So it's the same kind of, I will see the universal administration works for our benefit, for nothing else. Krishna has created this whole system, the rules, regulations, and all the structure, everything is for our own benefit. And he sends devotees to give this knowledge, and he himself comes and speak this knowledge. And those devotees go around like Srila Prabhupada, like trying to expand this knowledge and bring awareness to so many lost souls. So in this way, he creates a whole system to help us. But despite all of that, all of this, we could be in our own worlds, covered in our own ignorance. But he does try his best, like the government tries his best. Sometimes there are accidents, but yeah. So the same way, Krishna tries his best to help us turn towards him. Not all may choose to at the same time, but we all don't have a choice. Today or tomorrow, we all have to turn to him. And that's why Krishna says, I am transcendental. I created this system. You cannot blame the government. Oh, you put this road, so that's why I got into an accident. Oh, yeah, I mean, I created facility. But if there are other things which is beyond the control, it's not that we are beyond the control of Krishna. We are individuals who are capable of making our own decisions. That does not mean Krishna is not under our control. We are not under Krishna's control, but we do have free will. We do have some free will. We don't have absolute free will. We have some free will. So yeah, does this make sense? Did I add to your point? Thank you. So yes, as Chinmay also very beautifully put it, like Krishna created the system, but he is transcendental. Anyone who understands that Krishna is transcendental can also be freed. That's what Krishna says. Just by understanding the nature of Krishna's transcendence, that he is not caught up in this whole system just because he created it. Anyone who understands that he is beyond the system, he is transcendental to the system, is also becomes free from all sinful reactions. And he says, following the path of the wise, you also do that. Krishna says to Arjuna, in the past, so many people understood all these realities and they fulfilled their duties. They didn't just give up and run away. So follow in the path of those wise people, and execute your own duty. Understand all this truth and execute your duty. So he's indirectly pushing him to fight. So he's saying, follow the path of the wise. And what is the time? We are clocking an hour. So this is a big topic. I think I really wanted to finish every chapter in 2 weeks, but it's going 3, 4 like that. So I'm very sorry. This is a second week on this chapter. I thought I'll be like done until 24 verses at least. But we are just here because all these things I can just may just say the verses in the translation and go away. But I think these are related topics tied up to those verses, and both for all of us, especially for the kids, it's very important to know at least some answers to these topics, because that's what comes up in their schools, that's what comes up in their minds when they interact with different people. So that's what I thought. I'll cover all these questions. And next week we are having the exciting topic of 3 kinds of karma. So we will see these things next week. So I'll give you a quick preview what's going to come next week. Yeah, 3 kinds of karma. We'll be seeing the qualities of a detached worker. And then we will also see how can I perform my daily tasks without getting attached to the results. So these kind of both the part of verses as well as application part. So that we will see next week. So extremely grateful always for all of your presence and also questions. And yes, if you have any question, I'm here for some more time. Otherwise, I'm very happy and grateful for all of you for being here. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Yes, I'm here. If others, if you want to carry on, that's fine. But those who want to have a question or something, I'm here. Thank you. Hare Krishna, Madhavendra Devi, Mahidhar, Divya, Chakre, Divya,
Hare Krishna.
Purva, Constantine.
Hare Krishna.
Morning, Pranadi,
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Congratulations. Hare Krishna, Ishwari. Ishwari Mataji, Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Vinay, Hare Bol. Yes, I'm not sure who's the G15P. Hare Krishna, Amrita Kishori. Hare Bol, Yogeshwari Mataji. Parnika, I'm here. You can ask your
Hare
question.
Krishna. Thank you.
Thank you, Amrita. Panika, did you have a question?
I didn't have a question. It was just regarding the topic we were discussing the other day.
Yeah, go on. No problem.
Yeah, so I spoke to Prabhu and I spoke to Anirudh as well.
Oh, you're
Uh,
speaking about the outing?
yeah.
Okay, go ahead. Sorry, guys, we are speaking about some management. Yes, go on, Panika.
Yeah,
It's
so
not
I honestly think you should coordinate with Anirudh. I think he's a better